John Loudon, one of the reasons you came here is to look at voter security, election integrity. You're a former state senator in Missouri and a former state representative, and now you're doing consulting work. But tell us about what you think has to happen here for one of these. I just want one of them to win, hopefully two. One of these Republicans to win and pull this out.
First of all, of course, everybody's got to get up there and freaking vote. I just got a text from a colleague. She went by 3 different polling places that were Republican, heavy or leaning Republican areas, and did not see a lot of people out. And that would be tragic if they suppressed the vote by telling people it's over or they're just going to steal it. And I'm here to make sure they don't steal it, to do everything I can personally.
So what are you guys looking for when you do voter watch or poll watching today, John Loudon? What are you looking for? Like what types of things are you actually doing?
Well, the thing is, for most conservatives, just honest people, conservative and even left of center, they take for granted that theft does not happen. They want to believe that these things have been going on for years, the security measures are in place, and it doesn't happen. I'm here to tell you, vote theft is the rule in any major city in the country. I've observed elections, and this is now my 4th state, lots in Missouri for 20 years. And the tricks they pull and have been pulling for 100 years have required us to put in certain basic safety measures like observers, like chain of custody. There's a reason we're hearing all those terms, because we've known from history that if you don't have people watching, there are always bad guys trying to steal.
Well, the chain of custody issue, these drop boxes, they added another 20 since November 3rd. I'm a publisher of the Georgia Star News. Go to georgiastarnews.com. We did several stories on these drop boxes. There was no chain of custody with 80% of them. Only 23% actually had any followed the rules chain of custody. You had some of these Dropbox ballots were in people's cars or garage for 3 days. What the hell's up with that?
Oh, yeah, it's absolutely insane. And sometimes things are so crazy that you don't really believe it's as crazy as what your ears are hearing. And the idea that you could set boxes on a corner that people just jam ballots in is ridiculous. There's a reason we have a system where you vote on Election Day. Whatever happened to Election Day? It's the day. It's not the month prior. It's not, and if you're traveling.
It's not 3 months prior.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't there some states where it starts, Martha, in like August?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So it's like 3 months out.
I know, it's crazy. And you know what? I'm sorry, back in the day, I voted for it. We had a Republican Secretary of State said this early voting was a good idea, and we should really be doing this, and people like it. And they're like, well, I'm for choice. And so hey, give people more options. So yeah.
I mean, in all fairness, it's one thing if you're serving our country and you're over in the Gulf, in the Middle East, and you want to cast your vote. I mean, that's a different scenario.
100%.
I support that. I support our men and women that serve our country. If they want to send their ballot in, and they need to do it during a couple months. But that's a very unique, very different scenario.
Well, there's a chain of custody established in that scenario.
That's exactly
Absolutely.
That's exactly right. But having millions of Americans, across our country casting their votes, that's how we have thousands of dead people that end up voting in Georgia. What did we say, 10,000?
Didn't we also have such a percentage of people voted even before the first presidential debate?
That's right. That's exactly correct.
I know.
Probably was a good thing for Trump because it was such a horrible night that night. I don't know what was going on there, but I mean, it doesn't make any sense where you're voting before you even see the candidates.
Right.
So that just doesn't make any sense, and it pushes up everything earlier, but it is what it is. You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network, our 10th year anniversary week. Martha Boneta here with us for the week. We thank her. Christine Bauserman with us. She's our ops manager. She's running the big show tonight, 6 p.m. Our panel, Martha Boneta, myself, Bernie Tokars will be there running the numbers. John Loudon will be stopping by. And Heather Mullins from Real America Voice will be there. That is our panel. Richard Barrios calling in, as well as Stephen K. Bannon. What do you
That's
think
right.
of that, Martha?
Well, I'm a huge fan of Steve Bannon. He's a friend. He's a great American. We had him on yesterday. And, he talked about how, not just how important this race is, but what could happen depending on how things play out over the next several days. And the idea that we could have Nancy Pelosi as acting president, potentially, depending on what happens in the next several days and weeks that follow.
I got a text here from James in Newport News. He says, John, I've noticed interesting news around Ivanka Trump. Is she considering a political life? My answer, I'm going to go around the table, James. My answer to that is yes, absolutely is. I don't know what she's going to do in 2024, but she's going to do something. Martha?
Agreed, 100%. She has a very multiple successful businesses. She's articulate. She's brilliant. She speaks to the American people. She has shown a huge light on sex trafficking. I was there in the White House when the president signed the executive order. Really, this is the first president that's drawn a line in the sand in terms of the fight against sex trafficking, and she's been a pioneer. Shining a light there, a pioneer in terms of shining a light on the opioid addiction problem we have in our country, providing family leave benefits to moms and dads across our country. I mean, she knows how to speak to the hearts and minds of everyday hardworking Americans, and I say go Ivanka.
I think she's got a future, John.
Yeah.
I don't have any specific personal knowledge here, but I am hearing a lot of chatter that she could well run. I wouldn't have anything more to add to what Martha said. She's an amazing, accomplished woman. It's one of the things that a lot of people don't give Trump credit for. I had a great man say to me one time, he was an early adopter of President Trump, or then candidate Trump, and he said, John, I can judge the character of a man better than anything by the quality of his kids.
Amen.
The character of his
He's
kids.
got three
Amen.
great
And he's
children.
got 3 amazing kids.
Right.
Well, four.
And incredibly humble, very successful.
No, he's got 5.
Yeah, 5.
5 with Tiffany, yeah.
Well, 5 with Barron.
Well,
Barrett,
and the
that's right.
Democrats
Yeah.
obviously don't
Yeah.
think that, or they wouldn't have voted for Biden.
Well, yeah, obviously they don't.
Good
I
point.
don't think that was brought up enough, but I don't think she's going to run, and I don't think the deplorables want dynasties.
Well, I wouldn't argue with that, Christine. Right? Let's open up for callers. 888-480-JOHN, 888-480-5646. Paul in Mechanicsville, text in. Mechanicsville, Virginia. He's got a question for John Loudon. He says, John, are vote observers going to be treated the same as they were in the presidential election, thrown out at 10 p.m. and then we count votes in the dark? If so, sayonara.
Yes. Well, that's that's my goal today. More than anything else, is make sure there are observers everywhere. If they need more observers, I'm here to help observe and help know what to watch. And I'll tell you, I was over yesterday just looking around, and it's going to be at the Mercedes Center, and there's I don't know how you're going to secure that. You're going to have trucks rolling in and out of there, and who knows which trucks are they all going to be marked?
That needs to be turned around, and not how they're going to be treated. Are they going to stand up for their rights? And if they tell you to leave, go get behind the Democrats and say, "I'm in line." When they walk out the door, I'm behind them. If you go out, stand inside, surround the trucks. How many observers are out there? Is it true that there's about 8,000?
Well, I'm hoping there's 8,000. That would be amazing. But
I've heard that number.
yeah, I will know more.
And
this
they
evening.
need to be aggressive. You need to say something. If you see something, call somebody, get attention on it. If that
Well, that didn't work though on November 3rd because so many people were calling up and they weren't getting any response from the Secretary of State's office.
Didn't matter.
They're totally incompetent. I mean, this guy Raffensperger, this has got to be the biggest clown show
that's
that
the
I've
job
ever
of the
seen.
parties.
Well, now it's got like this. It's gone from fraud to a cover-up. What you saw in that press conference yesterday, John Loudon, that was a cover-up by Gabe Strang. That was all that was.
Yep.
Because if they don't have anything to cover up, let us inspect the Fulton County mail-in ballots.
That's right.
Do a full forensic inspection. They're fighting it judicially. They're fighting it in court. They're changing judges out. They're trying to run out the clock, all because they don't want an inspection. Because they know when they do an inspection, they're going to find these 25 or 30,000 ballots that were manufactured, that went in the machine several times and turned the election, and that's going to be the end of them. And they're going to jail. That's why they won't let it happen. Let's get to the phone lines. Line 2, let's get to Rich in Virginia Beach. Rich, you're live.
Hey, John, congrats on your 10 years. I've been listening to you for 5 years. Yeah, this show works. We said that we wanted Kelly to decertify, and she came out and said it last night. So we all Trump supporters, we need to honor our word and get out there and vote for her. If you just don't want to vote because you want to rebel, then why don't you just go out and vote for her and not for the guy that hid in his basement and make a point? But hey, we got to give her credit. She actually said it last night, so let's get out there and vote. That's what I said that she needed to do, and she did that. So this show actually works, I think.
Well, Richard, thanks. That's what we were saying all day. The object of the pressure that the callers that we got to put on Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue was to back the January 6th effort. Finally, we got Loeffler to do it. She saw the light at the end. Christine's rolling her eyes because she's like, it's too little too late. I've heard those. But we can't go back in time, Christine. Right now, she did what we wanted her to do, and she did it in a very public and open way, not what she did with Brett Baer on Fox News on Sunday, which was say, well, I'm thinking about it, all options are open, which is a non-answer. She actually said on January 6th, I'm voting with Trump. So that's what we wanted her to do. That's what she did. You've got and so we have to take full credit for that, John.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Better late than never, right?
Better late than never. Yep. Coming home.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to and losing is just not an option. I mean, letting the Democrats control all three power centers is just not.
Well, the point is,
be a
too,
disaster.
if they're there tomorrow, if they go tomorrow and swear in, they will vote on these electoral votes. So the objection would be a moot point.
If they what now?
The objection of the Electoral College tomorrow.
Right? On the 6th, right?
Right. We need her there to vote on the Senate side.
Right. Well, she's still there until she loses.
Correct.
Yep.
So if the election is undecided, she's still there. Purdue's not. She's still there. That's why Perdue bailed and gave the typical stay in the basement, mealy mouth nonsense. He's a pathetic candidate as well. It's amazing. How's this guy? This guy was like, this is another guy, CEO of 3 companies, right? Dollar General, this and that, made billions of dollars. Lives in a double-gated community in St. Simon's Island. House is probably worth $10 million. A gated community inside a gated community, right, if you've ever seen it, on a golf course, whatever. But, no connection to the people, John. Nothing. And then he quarantines and hides in the basement in the final days. I still can't believe that.
Well, we've seen this time and time again, no matter where you are in the nation, right? Certain candidates that have the name recognition, they have all the resources in the world, they get cozy, and they feel like they don't have to go out there and shake hands, knock doors, and
Right,
talk
it's
to
a
the constituents,
strategy.
because it gets really cozy.
Well, the difference with Kelly Loeffler is even though she's married to the
Yeah.
head of the New York Stock Exchange, and they do very well, and she started a company, she was very successful. I mean, she grew up on a farm.
Yes, she did.
I mean, she was poor, right? I mean, she had to go work herself. I think she had a job at Burger King or
Yes.
Dairy, with the hat on, in order to get through school to get gas money. So she knows what it is to be on the other side.
right.
And I thought her performance during this campaign was not very, very good. But last night she did what she had to do, and you got to give her credit for that.
Yeah, we beat our elected over the head, and when they finally do what we want them to do, we have to pat them on the back, right?
Yep. And one thing you have to understand from the perspective of a candidate, and I've been one many times, you've got handlers that are confusing you. You've got the one consultant who says, I'm the king, and
Exactly.
if you don't listen to me, you're going to lose. And here's the polling, and here's the answers you need to give. And so they're managed. And that's one of the reasons America loves Donald Trump so fervently, because he isn't handled by anyone. And for better or for worse, you get the raw Donald Trump not being handled. So when you see these Georgia candidates being mealy mouthed, or like they always say, I want a one-hand economist. So he's not saying on the one hand this and on the other hand that.
See, John just nailed it.
He just nailed it.
Trump changed the expectation game for politicians
Forever.
So now, when you get these mealy-mouthed people that talk out of both sides of their mouth and say all my options are open and things of that. What was it that Karen Hale said? All hands on deck. All that nonsense. People no longer tolerate that. Mm-hmm. That was Karen Handel when she ran against Ossoff in the special for Tom Price's seat here in Georgia. She ended up beating him by a small amount. They asked her, well, do you stand with President Trump? And she's like, all hands on deck. What the hell kind of an answer is that? No, we don't put up with that now.
No.
Deplorables are not a cheap date. It's
That's
not
right.
a A booty call.
That's
right.
right.
We want
Exactly
real.
right.
It's
Exactly.
not a
Want
booty
real.
call. All right, I only got 2 minutes. Let's
And
get to
Corey Lewandowski nailed it yesterday. He
What?
said, "Let Trump be Trump."
let Trump. Well, he's been saying that forever.
Yeah.
Let's get to line 2. Ross in Raleigh, North Carolina. Ross, you're live with the panel.
Yes, a big mistake last night. The most compelling evidence of the steal was of overnight in Fulton County, and they didn't play that last night. He read off a teleprompter the figures, but the visual of the steal would have been great, but they didn't play that at all. No witness testimony, no USPS contract worker testimony. They had the screen set up for the video. Why didn't they play that? It's almost like Trump is trying to sandbag the victory. Thank you.
Well, Ross, he played the video in Valdosta, Ross. So I'm not sure playing it again made sense because he already did that one time when he was in Valdosta 3 weeks ago. So he already played the video. But look, I agree with you. I thought the first part of the whole rally should have been Trump litigating the fraud in all these states and picking the biggest issues. You know, he kind of did that at the end. I would have done that at the beginning. John, I'm going to give you the final word.
Yeah, I think we do have to just keep hammering all the evidence is out there and just don't buy the lie that systemic vote fraud is not a very real thing.
John Fredericks Radio Network. All right, our panel live, we're going to be taking calls, 888-480-JOHN, 888-480-5646. If you voted in Atlanta, I want to know where you, in Georgia, I'm sorry,
What you're
where
seeing.
you voted, what the turnout is. Let's start getting some feedback, Martha.
And also, I wanted to ask John because, John, tell me this. You've run for office. You held
John
office.
Loudon.
John Loudon, yes. The John Loudon, wife of Dr. Gina.
Husband, but yeah.
Yeah, husband. I'm sorry, husband. I said wife. I'm sorry. I meant husband.
No
It's a
worries.
little tough with the feedback.
Yeah.
Bear with us.
We knew what you meant.
Yeah, but this secretly recorded call of the president. I don't care if you're a Republican, a Democrat, undecided, independent. Nobody likes the idea of somebody secretly, deceptively recording the president and then leaking it. It's disgusting. I mean, what say you? You are an elected official. It is outrageous to secretly record the president. It's disgusting. It's dirty. It smells bad. It's just icky.
It is.
Yeah.
It's absolutely horrendous. And, transparency, we need transparency with outcomes. When there's a vote, when there's an action, we need to see those decisions that are actually made. But there's a little thing in politics called work product. You're hashing ideas around. I've sat in my Senate office and countless hours, hundreds of hours of, hey, how we handle this situation or that situation. And you spitball things, you throw out ideas. Some of them are crazy and get rejected. The idea that every conversation the president has, everything he discusses, hey, what about this or that? That all those things are suddenly just exposed. It's paralyzing is what it is. And it's amazing the president's done half he's done with the garbage, the unprecedented crap that he's had to take.
Well, absolutely. I mean, this is a man who had a pretty good life before becoming president. And,
Absolutely.
When you think of, as you said, every roadblock that's been put in his place, and yet he's achieved so much because he loves our country.
Yep.
And, the idea of, the secreting of, trying to catch the president. And what the Washington Post did initially was they spit out this audio of the president from his conversation that was just cutting and pasting pieces of the conversation to make him look as bad as they can, and only after reading the transcript, right, John? After reading the transcript of what exactly was said, you see that there was nothing wrong with what he said.
Right.
But it's that constant, deliberate, constant attack of this man who's done so much for our nation.
I know, and you're right. He not only did well. Let's be honest. Donald Trump was like the envy
Yes.
of the country, of people worldwide.
Yes.
He was an amazing guy who's done amazing things, and he did not need this. And the fact that I put right on my Twitter bio, he's a gift.
Yes.
He's a gift.
Yeah.
All right, John Fredericks Radio Network phone lines open. Let's get to our callers, 888-480-JOHN, 888-480-JOHN, or maybe we should make it 888-480-MARTHA.
Yes, I like that.
888-480-JOHN.
Martha.
That should be our backup number, 888-480-MARTHA.
I triple dare you.
I know, right? 888-4-JOHN. You can also text us 757-692-1710. Let's get to Anthony in New Jersey. Anthony, you're live with the panel.
Good morning, John Fredericks Radio Show. It is so awesome to be on the show. Thanks for taking my call, John. I just wanted to say, feeling great today because of what Kelly Loeffler did last night, and it feels so great after having gone through this whole experience, and just wanted her to object to the votes and get with the program. I wanted to say congrats to you for 10 years of being in radio. And, I'm new to your show. I just started listening to you this past year because of War Room and all the things that have been happening. And I just got to say I admire you very much and think you have, you're doing amazing work, and you're a blessing to this country and to all of us fighting for our country. So thank you. And the reason why I wanted to call, and I think it goes to the comments that were just being made about how amazing Trump is that, I think one of the big things that has happened over the past 4 years and with the emergence of Donald Trump is that it's shown how Republicans need to how they need to approach being in politics and being leaders. We've gone through so much in, you look at what they've thrown at Donald Trump and all the attacks they've thrown at him and try to undermine his presidency and different scandals. I mean, they tried to have the Mueller probe and had millions of dollars, in government power to go after him and his allies. And what did he do? He stood there and fight. And we never fought before. We never had somebody who'd be a leader to fight and show us what it takes to fight. And I think for all of our leaders, and if anybody's thinking about getting into becoming an elected official and becoming on the Republican side, you have to go in there knowing you're not going to get invited to the cocktail parties. You're not going to be praised on social media and by pop culture and musicians and artists and actors. You're going to be hated. And if you're not willing to do that, then probably this isn't the party or the movement for you. And I just wanted to say that and get your guys' thoughts because I think it's a big
So what office are you going to run for? Are you going to start the Board of Supervisors or school board or state legislator in New Jersey?
I've already been a school board in New Jersey. I was the youngest school board member in my town. I did that a couple years back after I graduated from undergrad. And I'm a bit older now. I decided I did one term, and actually that was a big eye opener for me. One of my first experiences when I was when I ran with the Republicans, even though in my municipality, it's called River Edge, New Jersey. It was a nonpartisan thing, and I just had been affiliated with Republicans, and it was incredible to me to see how much. It was just, I hadn't even met people before, and they came up to me angry that I had been affiliated with the Republicans and I'm running for the school board. And it was, and that was probably the biggest lessons that I learned. And when I go back into politics, and I plan to, I know that I have to have the resolve and the fight to go after the attacks because they're not, I was thinking that everybody would, it would be, working together, collaborative. It is not.
No, it's a war.
It's a blood sport.
Mm-hmm.
But Anthony, look, if there's anything Trump has taught us, is you fight. You fight. And as we were talking earlier about how he changed the expectations now of all politicians, and we don't deal with the mealy-mouth, middle of the road, say nothing, talk in circles nonsense. We just don't put up with it. That's what Trump has taught everybody. He's got that plain way of speaking. You expect everybody to do it. You expect them to fight. And when you don't fight, you're just not inspired, John.
And one thing I would add to that, listen, the reason they were so viscerally angry with you for aligning with the Republicans is because you called their bluff. Everybody should realize, if they don't, that the teachers' unions are an arm of the Democratic Party. So when you dared to align with the Republican Party, they're calling you out, demonstrating their own hypocrisy.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And with Trump being such a fighter that he is, I'm glad that he's finally came and become a leader for us. And we needed somebody to do that because I don't think there's anybody else in this country who could have kind of inspired all of us so much to just, you got to fight.
And by the way, there's a little work more noble than running for school board. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Anthony.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
guys.
Our panel taking calls, 888-480-JOHN, 888-480-5646. I just want to get to Martha here. We got a couple minutes. Let's make predictions for tonight. Let's make some predictions here. Go around the table, get some people to call in. What do you think is going to happen? And I'm going to start with Martha Boneta. Martha, make your predictions for tonight.
So we had said that we needed to have over 1 million people to pull this off, right?
Right. A million voter turnout.
Million voter turnout. I'm getting feedback from folks that are out in Georgia that they're not seeing the people there. They're not seeing the crowds. They're not seeing the lines. That could change, but as of now, they're not seeing that. So I believe we're going to win 1 seat and lose 1 seat, and I believe that Kelly is going to get over the finish line.
All right, so you say 1-1, Loeffler wins, and Ossoff wins. All right. Christine?
I want to believe that, but I have a feeling they're going to do a repeat of what they did in November, call it at 10 or 10:30, put them on a plane, fly them out there so they can do the Electoral College vote tomorrow.
So you think they're going to lose?
I think the worst case scenario could be they're going to call it at 10 or 10:30 for the Democrats, no matter, just like they did in November, right?
Or just like they called Arizona? Just call it.
Right, just
Right.
call it.
John?
Well, they have 70% of the ballots are in, like you
So
said.
Martha says 1-1. Christine says Democrats win both seats. John?
I'm optimistic for 1-1. I'm hoping Loeffler pulls it through.
Amen.
I'm with John and Martha. I think it's going to be 1-1. I think Loeffler's going to win. Purdue's going to lose. And look, you know what? I'd rather win 2, but if you win 1, we stave it off, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we fight for another day.
Yep.
This is really what this is about, fighting for another day. Because, John, I'm going to tell you, this movement is not going away. If there's anything we've learned here in Georgia, Martha, John, and Christine, anything I've learned in 7 weeks in Georgia, this movement is bigger and more vibrant and more burgeoning and more voiceless than ever. And now they're getting their sea legs. Deplorables are getting a voice. They're getting, who is it that said, they're not a cheap date. They're getting it. They get how to be active. They're not. I don't think they're going to sit on the sidelines. I think that this is, John Loudon, I think this is the biggest movement. I think this makes the Tea Party look like child's play.
Yep. Oh, I agree. It's amazing. There's been such a massive realignment with President Trump and what he's done, and he's kind of rearranged everything, and to get to the highest watermark with Hispanic voters, the highest watermark with black voters, and to put tariffs on the table, and it's created a new movement. And you're right, no longer a cheap date. We want people to speak frankly, and sadly, I don't think these Senate candidates really figured out that that's part of the magic of Trump, and it's hurting them.
Look, on the 6th, there's going to be another huge march in Washington, D.C. It's going to be the biggest one yet. I mean, think about that. All of the marches that we've had for the president, this is going to be the biggest one we have ever had for President Donald J.
Trump has changed this to a protest, not a rally, and they're not there to rally. I know people who've went to every single one.
Did he say that last night?
He's tweeted that out a couple days ago. He started
that it's a protest.
Rally. Protest rally is what he's calling it.
A protest rally.
Protest rally.
But the point is, whatever you want to call it, the point is that people are coming from every corner of the nation. It's going to be the largest of its kind ever.
They're demanding to be heard.
And it speaks to the power of this movement and how it's not going to end with what happens in this election. It's going to continue and grow and grow.
Did you eat your Wheaties today?
I did.
Because you're really on fire,
I'm
Martha.
fired up today.
Have you ever seen Martha on fire like this the last 2 days? I don't know what you're eating for breakfast,
You
but
know
I
what
want
it is?
some.
I'm fired up. I love this president. I love this country. I have gotten to meet great Americans like everybody here and the folks we're going to see tonight. And I see the fire in everybody's belly. How many times have you seen, people when we go to these rallies, they stand in line for hours. They take work time off. They use their vacation leave to stand in line to see this president. I mean, where have you ever seen that before, ever?
John Fredericks Radio Network live in Atlanta. Bottom of the hour news coming up. We're going to be back. Our panel, John Fredericks, Martha Boneta here for our anniversary week. Thank you for coming, Martha. Christine Bauserman running the whole operation. John Loudon, former state senator in Missouri, also the husband of TV star Dr. Gina Loudon. The president yesterday talked about the Surrender Caucus. You want to
Yes.
read what he said?
So, if you follow the president at Real Donald Trump on Twitter, this is a quote from the president. The, quote, Surrender Caucus within the Republican Party will go down in infamy as weak and ineffective. Quote, guardians of our nation who were willing to accept the certification of fraudulent presidential numbers.
And there it is.
That's
The Surrender Caucus.
the Surrender Caucus.
Well, that's what we're done with, is the Surrender
We
Caucus.
are done.
And that's what he said. That's what this history is going to go down as, John Loudon.
Yeah, it's just it's so heartbreaking. In fact, we had a split in my own state of Missouri that I just found stunning. We have 4 Republican members of Congress who are going to vote to decertify, not certify, rather. And one, Congressman Ann Wagner, came out and said her read of the Constitution, it would be unconstitutional to do this. And that was really curious because she's also opposing the Senator Josh Hawley, who happens to be a lawyer and thinks it's very constitutional that they do their job. So the woman with no law degree is declaring a knowledge of the Constitution beyond the senator. And this is it's baffling.
So, bottom line, Representative Ann Wagner, part of the Surrender Caucus.
Yeah, she's raising the flag and even calling it unconstitutional, and she referenced God. She took a vow to God to honor the Constitution.
888-480-JOHN, 888-480-5646. Dr. John Loudon, Christine Bauserman, Martha Boneta, John Fredericks here at our panel live in Atlanta. Let's get to the phone lines. Let's get to Dave in Memphis, Tennessee. Dave, line 1, you're live.
Hey, John, how you doing?
Good.
This is the first time I've called a radio show in 25 years.
Thank you.
And I live in Georgia. I wish I could vote today. Of course, if I was Democrat, I could probably figure out a way to do it. But I need a minute just to implore the people of Georgia. I understand your frustration. I'm frustrated. I understand you feel like your vote on November 3rd didn't count. I understand why you would not want to waste the time or the effort to give a vote today. The most important right, one of the most important rights you have is the right to vote. What's sometimes unsaid is that you also have a right not to vote. I've done that too as a protest vote in the past. This is not the time to exercise that specific right. You need to, for the people of Georgia, my fellow citizens in Georgia, you need to think of this as the state of Georgia is a mass unit. This is a triage operation. Right now, we've got to stop the bleeding. We know the problems are there. We know the fraud happened. We will have our time, hopefully, to be able to deal with it. But if you do not get out and vote today and hold your nose and vote for these two candidates and we lose the Senate, then for at least 2 years, we have no opportunity to do anything about what's happened. And who knows the disaster that can occur to this country over the next 2 years. So put a tourniquet on the wound. Go in and vote today. Even if you don't like the candidates, suck it up. Go vote. Do what needs to be done to stop the bleeding so that we can live to fight to fix the fraud that happened to this country. I beg of you, I implore of you, if you are sitting on the fence, it's time to get off. Go vote. Go vote. Please go vote. Thank you, John.
Dave, thank you.
Thank you, Dave. That was very thoughtful.
Thank you, Dave. Very powerful.
Yeah.
You know, what I love about what Dave said is we got to be able to fight another day, right?
Yeah.
And so thank you, Dave, for that. Thank you. Very moving. Let's get to John in Pennsylvania. John, you're live, line 1.
Good morning, John. I've been listening. I watched the rally last night. I share your concerns. The campaigns weren't run very well. But I think there's two things going on here. the big thing I'm seeing that's missing right now is there was a lot of messaging and a lot of encouragement in the general election to get people to bring other people out. And we've got, I don't know how many hours left, but we've got a day. And if anybody's listening, you need to get up out of your chair. You need to go. You need to talk to people. You need to find people. You need to help older people get to the polls. You need to do whatever you can do to get people out. There's a lot of people, I share their frustration, but the rest of the country's watching you, and we need your help. Just like the last caller, we need your help. This is it. This is for all the marbles. And we're at a precipice. You know, do you want to go off the cliff? Do you want to risk going off the cliff without a parachute? It's a no-brainer. You need to suck it up, hold your nose, and do what needs to be done. It's a dirty job, but we need to encourage. And I just want to hear if Steve Bannon's listening, we need to encourage, we need to message today to get more people to motivate other people to go out and vote. Bring 5 people, bring 10 people. Ask people if their neighbors have voted. Go to your church. Ask people in your church, have they voted? And we need to get this message out because this has been missing. And there's a certain number of people out there that are capitalizing on this from the Democrat side. I think there are some people out there, I'm seeing it on Parler, I'm seeing comments on Parler about people that don't want to vote, and they're encouraging people through social media to not vote. And I don't think all those people are genuine.
Did you go vote today?
I'm in
Johnson,
Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
John, thank you. Excellent message, John. Everybody's got to get out there. We need the game day turnout, and then we can deal with the fallout later. But it's like I said, let's just do this once more so we can fix this so it doesn't happen again, right? Let's get to DeLois in Yorktown, and let me start out by saying we want to thank our sponsors for the day. DeLois, one of them. Thank you, DeLois, for donating.
DeLois.
Thank you. James Sommers, a gold sponsor. Thank you, James. And Juanita Ballinger. Thank you, Juanita. Thank you very much. If you want to help us out, 10th year anniversary, go to johnfredericksradio.com. There's a donate button there, johnfredericksradio.com. And thank you, DeLois. And DeLois, you're live, line 2.
DeLois, good morning. Thank
Hi.
you.
Hey, good morning. I, can't help but just, double down on what these last 2 gentlemen have said. I mean, if you support Trump went down there and supported these candidates, and we owe it. If you're part of the cause, even if you don't like these people, you've got to go and support him because he is supporting them. If you're not going to support them, then you're jumping off of his bandwagon. So you can't say you're, on the Trump train and then bail on this voting day.
And DeLois, that's an excellent point. In terms of these so-called Republicans that are not going to be on the right side of history because they are not standing with this president, not just with the president, but with integrity of our elections, do you think that the American people, the base, the voters, will hold them accountable when it comes time for their reelection?
I feel like this is really a do or die for the party. Trump red-pilled millions of people, and they love him for that. He shattered a lot of beliefs that these media people had, the golden ticket. And he woke up the people to the fact that they were being snowed. And I feel like he's endeared himself to people because he's a truth teller. And people appreciate that, and they don't want to be snowed any longer. And so the Republicans who aren't on board, the party is going to doom itself. I love that Mitch is on my team, so to speak, even though I don't particularly like the man. You have to play ball. You have to put the team members in who are on your team who can play. You don't have to, have dinner with them. And Trump understands that point. You've got to assemble your crew. You don't have to be best friends with people. But if the Republican Party walks away from this fight on Wednesday, the Republican Party nationally is done. That's
doomed.
my prediction.
I agree with that, Dolores. I think you're spot on. Because then it does indeed become the surrender caucus, and then we're done. So I agree with you. That's why I think January 6th is so critical to the future of the party, what type of party it is, and who's going to be in control of it. Thank you, Dolores. And,
Thank you, Dolores.
Thank you for your support also, Dolores. Thank you.
Thank you. Keep it up the fight.
Thank you, Dolores. Let's go. I'm going to go to John Loudon for breaking news on what's going on. What are you hearing, John, about some of the voting in Georgia?
Well, we have a tweet reply to your announcement on this show's episode. Says, just voted Newton County, Georgia, heavily Republican district. When I went to place my printed ballot into the Dominion machine, the poll worker said the machine's not working. The Dominion scanner is not working. Someone's coming to fix it. Now, that's a random tweet. I have an attorney colleague on the ground that's going polling place to polling place saying the same thing. Reports of packed precincts in highly Republican areas with inoperable equipment.
Inoperable equipment. So
Yeah.
what do? You just
have one job.
The machines are broke.
The machines are broken in Republican areas.
So if you go to vote and you can't put it in the machine, what happens?
So they're saying, just hand us your ballots. We'll just put them in a little pile here, and we'll scan them all later when we
Trust
get these
us.
scanners working.
Trust us.
And
Is
of
that
course,
unbelievable? What
Unbelievable.
are we
No,
doing
it's
to
not.
fix that?
Trust us.
No, it's not. It's a repeat of November.
They're just going to steal it again.
Exactly.
Nothing
And they're
to
going to
see
call it
there.
at 10:30 tonight, and they're going to seat them tomorrow to vote.
So we need every Georgian to vote more fervently this time,
Show up.
and contact. Let us know if you're
And don't
experiencing the
leave.
same thing.
Don't leave. I mean,
So it sounds like what we're getting now at after 9:30 is we're getting, what seems like in this Republican areas, we're getting a big turnout, John.
Yes.
So if you're
Hallelujah.
willing to go wait 8 hours, 12 hours to see President Trump, go stay at your polling location. Maybe that's what we need to do. Go stay there until that vote's counted and say, hey, that's my ballot. I'm going to wait till the machine's fixed.
So they go in to vote and they can't scan it, so they got to give their vote to somebody and hope that person scans it, but that person could just drop it in a box or drop it in the garbage can.
Yep.
Because they can see who you voted for.
Eyes on the ballots.
Right. Well, presumably they
Which
have
is illegal,
they have a privacy envelope. So theoretically, it's in the envelope, but that's
We
just
need an
slide it
army
in.
Well, then
watching
somebody's
them.
got to take it out, right?
Take it out when they scan it. Yep.
Yeah, so then they can see who you voted for. So they see a vote for the Republicans and they don't scan it. And who's to know?
Maybe
That's not
there'll be a water leak and it'll ruin the ballots.
Yeah, there'll be a water leak now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they'll catch on fire.
Electricity will go out. Who knows? Some calamity will happen. And there's nothing to see here. This isn't a coincidence. Nothing to see here.
888-4880, John, if you want to weigh in on this. You've got about 2 minutes. 888-480-5646. What else are you hearing, John? So are they so far, those that are analyzing this, are they saying that Republicans are turning out in the Republican areas?
Yes. Actually, hearing that there is heavy Republican turnout, but that they're having these frustrating shutdowns of the scanners. It's just how this Dominion system is here. I don't understand it.
$107 million they paid for this.
Yeah, if this was an auto manufacturer, they'd be bankrupt.
Yeah.
This is like the Yugo of voting systems.
It's unbelievable.
What did you say, the Yugo?
The Yugo.
And this
Do they
is why
still
you
make
want.
those?
No,
Yugo.
because they don't work.
Yugo of voting systems.
Do you guys remember the car that was called a Nova?
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a car, which in Spanish
The Chevy
means,
Nova.
Which in Spanish means doesn't work.
No go.
No go, right? This is the no go of
Wasn't
voting
there?
machines.
What was that AMC car they had with all the glass on it? The Pacer.
Pacer.
Remember that?
Yep.
And the Gremlin or
We
the
had a
Gremlin?
Pacer.
The Pacer. It was a cool looking thing, but actually AMC was a good company. It was a cool looking thing, but I always felt if you had an accident in that, wasn't a lot there to protect you.
They were actually pretty sturdy. We got a brand new one, and two of my brothers learned to drive on it
Nice.
AMC was a good company. What happened to
and
that?
tore it up.
What?
And tore it up. It got bought by Chrysler.
It got bought by Chrysler. That
Who
was AMC.
who more wanted Jeep.
They had the Gremlin or the
Yep.
that they had like one of the first hatchbacks.
Oh yeah, the Gremlin, the Spirit, the Pacer. Of course, those were the small ones. But then they had the Javelin and the MX, the muscle cars.
Donald Trump just tweeted out that Senator David Perdue has joined the great Stop the Steal group of senators.
Yeah, great.
Too
he
little,
does it
too
on
late.
game day when
It's
he's
too
when
late.
When he's, I mean, that to me.
What, he's 12 hours
is-
after her?
That to me is totally political. That's
course
just to
it
get a
is.
couple people out to vote
They
for him.
both were.
I mean, that is see. Last night at 6:00 before the rally that Kelly Loeffler did it, that was legit.
Right.
Doing it at 10:00, you give me a break.
On game day?
On game day, he does it at 10.
They were both political.
Yeah, because they're doing internal polling and finding out that there's a percentage of people not voting for him that are voting for Loeffler. So everything the guy does is political. Unbelievable. Vote for him anyway. Hold your nose. John Fredericks Radio Network.